Hello and welcome to the Road to Rugby podcast. I'm Callum, and in today's episode, we're going to be covering me learning some more positional play. That's right. It's been a couple of weeks now since I've done an episode on progress. Obviously, last time we had a bit of a how I found hockey and talked through, I guess, my two journeys of discovery. The first one where I sort of found out what it was, and the second one where it found its way into my veins, so to speak. So this week's more of a traditional catch-up like we're used to on the podcast, talking through a few things I've learned. And today's spin, I suppose, or focus area, is going to be we're talking about what I've learned about the roles. So this last 2 weeks, I've had 3 sessions. I booked on for a fourth, but I just didn't have it in the legs because I was away at a stag weekend. And so forgive me, I was not in the right frame of mind after 7 hours sleep over 2 nights and a 4-hour drive. So instead, I'm going to talk about the 3 sessions I did skate in, and the couple of different positions I played during that time, what I learned, and a little bit on fitness and well-being as well, because I think it's been a couple of weeks now, and we've made progress in that space too. So what I'll do is I'll start with the hockey and end with the fitness. And the first place to start with the hockey is obviously rec practice. So rec practice was a couple of weeks ago now. I guess 10 days. I had a really good time. So we did a couple of different drills. We did a 3-on-2 and then 5-on-2 kind of drill. Basically, you dump the puck in or you break out. So it's 5-on-0, 3-on-2, 5-on-2, or 5-on-0, 5. Anyway, it's slightly confusing. I'll explain it because it's easier once you get used to it. So basically, center dumps the puck in. The defense, are then effectively on your team, and you're practicing a breakout, right? And once you've broken out past the blue line, the defenders in the defensive zone become defenders again against you, and then we have 2 defenders pitched up on the halfway line that come in and make some passes. So we did that drill, and then we did some 4-on-4 in zone. And now on the 4-on-4 in zone, I stuck to the defensive side of it. I think a couple of episodes ago I talked about wanting to work on the more offensive side. And so I figured this time I'd stick to defensive elements. I sort of was effectively like left D for most of it. But just this 4-on-4 drill. So almost like a PK kind of drill of sorts. We were guaranteed to be in zone. And it was all about picking up the puck and clearing the zone. Really enjoyed it. It was good. And we've started doing these kind of really routine things for warm-up now. So first 5 minutes, maybe a bit more, free skate, get loose. I pick up a puck, move it around, and I've started to focus on a few separate sort of warm-up drills. Maybe I'll do a separate session on that in the future, but they're all sort of really puck touch based, because for me, I think once I get a feel for it, I feel more comfortable skating once I've got a good feel for the puck. So did a bit of that, did some figure of 8 warm-ups, and jumped into these drills, and was really pleased. Then it came to the scrim, and I still enjoyed the scrim, don't get me wrong. Made some nice plays in terms of some breakout passes and stuff like that. I think I've talked about that for the last few episodes as well. That seems to be a part of my game that's developing. Identifying plays, making them stick as well, and not just chucking the puck away and panicking. I'm panicking a bit less, which is encouraging. But one thing I really struggle with, and the reason I wanted to make this episode about positional play, was I was posted up on the wing. So I was a left wing on my line for that scrim. And what I was finding was I was getting drawn deep into my zone. So rather than being pitched up on the point or between the point and the hash mark, say, or top of the face-off dot sort of area, I was finding myself coming down to the face-off dot quite often because basically I have this thing where I see a high danger area and an open player in a high danger area, and I really struggle not to cover that player because in my mind, defensively responsible is really important. Get on the right side of the puck, defend the play. That's kind of my mentality, I suppose. And one of our guys basically just said, look, if you're out on the wing and someone's unguarded in that slot, but you've got to watch your man, like, you kind of just have to go, like, fuck it, that's someone else's problem. Now, I don't necessarily agree with that in principle, and from like a personal perspective, I'd rather sprint back, stop a really obvious scoring chance, but then give up something that's maybe less likely, but technically my responsibility. But we play to that kind of structure, and I think it's important to play that way, right? So, I was getting sucked in, and even then, even when it wasn't quite happening, I was starting to drift in deeper into my defensive zone, and not stay up and keep close to the point man. And that was something I really noticed positionally. There was one occasion where I did a really good job defending the point, and it was against our captain, our best player. And he, but I basically kept him pinned at the blue line. Like I got really close, cut off all of his space, wouldn't let him sort of barge his way past, and managed to flick the puck out of the zone before making a line change. So I really closed off his options and got quite tight. And I was really proud of that because he's an exceptional skater, certainly in comparison to myself. He's strong, physical, determined. I mean, his drop. Like, it's hard to explain, but he's got the talent, but he's also got that drive. And I think sometimes talented people can kind of float and maybe be a bit, like really good skaters. You see them sort of skating all over the zone, but not really penetrating the ice. This guy's like straight in there, like barge through, barge past people. He's quite happy to get stuck in. So I was really proud that I managed to keep him pinned at the blue line and effectively stop or exit the zone, not with control of the puck, but preventing a scoring opportunity or something to be reset. So I was really, really pleased with that and broke up a few plays that way as well. So positionally, I'd give myself, half marks, but effort-wise and getting stuck in and helping out when I was in the right place, I was making the right kind of decisions. And then we're going to jump into the next session. So a week later, essentially, after the stag weekend, I think I had my best session of hockey so far. And how do I explain it? Sometimes you just feel the puck, and I think I've said this a few times before over the last couple of weeks. It lands on the stick crisply, it comes off the stick crisply. You're making nice passes. Nothing feels like you're out of control. And these figure of 8 warm-ups, we did them again. I'm finding them really useful for feeling my edges. Well, my inside edges probably the most, but feeling like I can skate, getting a good workout, getting the heart rate going. My legs are a bit sore after. But quick, crisp passes, they are one touch and fire and fire and fire, and it's really good. So I've been finding that really good way of getting the touch, I guess. So I hope you keep doing those. We then did a 1-on-0 and a 2-on-1 horseshoes, and then we did that 5-on-0, 5-on-2, 3-on-2 kind of drill that I was talking about in the previous session. And again, I made some nice little plays. I picked up a loose puck off the boards and just flicked it off to our center. That got picked up as a nice little breakout play and really enjoyed that. No issues with bobbled pucks or anything like that, which was really encouraging. And then it came down to basically the actual scrim. So the scrim was maybe half an hour or so, whatever. And we all got sort of set up and we were in perfect lines, which I really like. I much prefer sessions where we have like solid lines instead of people like having a spare forward or a spare defender. In this case, we had a spare defender but no spare forwards. So we were just rolling 3 lines. And the best bit about that for me personally was it meant that I got some continuity, which I find really valuable when I'm learning. And I had 2 people on my line. One chap that's a bit newer than I am, to hockey. He's been skating for 5 years, but he's newer to hockey. And then another chap who's quite young, quite fast, but really likes playing on the wing. So I said, well, look, I'll go up the middle then. And that's something I've talked about on the podcast before. I really want to work to being a center. I think the defensive responsibility and the additional, additional interest in terms of like face-off responsibility, skate hard, back check, work hard, that sort of stuff, and sort of think the game. I really like that. So I got my opportunity. So I put myself forward. No one disagreed, and I ended up playing C up the middle for that session. Took me a shift to get settled. I felt a little bit antsy and a bit nervous. And I think it was because in my mind I was like, well, this is my opportunity to practice the things that I want to practice for this positional play, right? You don't get those all the time. If you're on and off different lines and stuff, and you go in with someone who's better than you at playing in the middle, that's where they'll play. But I played in a line where people didn't feel comfortable doing that, and I really enjoyed that. So I want that responsibility again. I can say that much. But in this session, I took that responsibility, and after one shift to get settled, I turned back to one of our very competent and defensively responsible C on our team. And I was like, look, can you watch my shift? Just keep an eye on my positional play, and just let me know if there's anything I'm doing that's really obviously wrong, because I want to think the right way. I want to play the right way. And I've watched him play that role, and he's always the defensive side of the puck until it's a very obvious scoring chance. He's always thinking that way. And in my mind, I know that my legs aren't as quick as everyone else's, so I need to think myself into the right positions, probably more so than people who have good foot speed, right? Anyway, so I say that, and then we go out for another shift. And in that shift, it just feels like, again, things are clicking. We break out from the defensive zone. I pass it off to this new chap who basically said at the start, "Oh, please don't pass to me." And I don't believe in that, because people gave me opportunities when I first started. So passed it, got it back, passed it off to our other winger, who then entered the zone. All of a sudden, I've had a play run through me, in a sense, a 1-2 with another guy, a breakout pass to release a zone entry, and then the winger goes in, basically breaks into the zone. It causes some trouble, which is great. Fires the puck off to me. I'm now in the centre, effectively by the goal. I wouldn't say unmarked, but I've got enough space to move. I pick up the puck, so he fires it into me, or I shout for it, fires it into me, and I'm probably, 3 feet to the left of the goal, let's say, maybe 2 feet. I take it on my forehand, I go a backhand, really stretch out on the forehand, and then end up just shoving it at the goal. I'm like, look, get the puck on net. If the other guy's there for a rebound, great. If he isn't, we've had a shot on goal. I can be proud of that. End up scoring 5-0, which I was really surprised by. And I heard a cheers from the bench. It was awesome. Really, really cool. And it just got me really fired up. Like that one transition play, scoring the goal, being part of those kind of transition. But there might have been a bit more going on, because it's been a little while. It was all a bit of a haze. But it might have had a bit more play to it than that. But essentially, we broke out, entered the zone, and then created a scoring opportunity off of a really good play by my winger, who skated past their defenseman, created the opportunity to make the pass across to me, fired it over, and then I was able to then take that puck and turn it to a goal, which is great. From a dangerous opportunity, dangerous area of the ice, but I didn't fuck it up. So scored a goal, and that was awesome. And in terms of just like generally setting stuff up otherwise, I was creating opportunities, and that was really good. So scored the goal, obviously exit the zone, let them kick off and whatever. And then, really enjoyed that shift. And the buzzer goes, we do 1.5 minute buzzer shifts when we don't have to prep for a game, just so that it's like a fair distribution of ice time. So the buzzer goes, and I'm skating back to the bench to change with our forwards. And the captain goes like, good shit. And, and then a couple of other guys are like, oh, it was a great shift. Really good job, nice goal and stuff like that. Fist bumps on the way across and things. And I just felt so proud. And I felt proud not because of just scoring the goal, but because of the way I played that shift. It wasn't... scoring a goal was great, and I've been really proud of that in the past. And I'm still really proud of that. Because I think in my journey of learning the game, you're not going to score all the time. And I'm like 4, 5, 6 goals tops in scrims. But I was really proud of that, and it was just a well-created opportunity, and then I felt like I really got into a rhythm. So we gave up a goal in that first shift where I was a little unsteady, scored one the next shift, and then was a net neutral. Didn't let any more in, excuse me, didn't score any more, but created opportunities and kept them away from our zone. Had a nice little stick lift in close on one of their forwards, tried to do the right kind of plays in that kind of space. So that was really encouraging. And then just general themes were picking up the puck low, making the distributing pass, and moving the puck early. Like, where I'm less confident, what I'm not doing at the moment is carrying the puck for long periods of time. I pick up the puck, I look up beforehand. I kind of know where the people are, but I pick up the puck and then I try and distribute quickly. Get other people who have faster foot speed on the move, making attacking plays where we can. If not, over to a D-man and then give it a crack somewhere else. So really, really proud of that. Really, really proud of that kind of way it went. And then I got a lovely message afterwards. I pinged into the team chat. I was like, thanks for tonight, boys. That was really good. Got a lovely message from the guy who I asked to watch my shift. He's like, mate, you just got to keep doing what you're doing. The skating's going to get there. The positional play is going to get there. Keep learning, keep trying. And for me, I think what I need to keep doing is asking to take on that responsibility. Because the one thing I noticed between the 2 sessions was, in terms of not my focus, but my enjoyment more than anything of having that responsibility and playing up the middle. I loved that session because I felt like I had to do everything right all the time. It kept me really dialed in and switched on. And the consistency of having the same line mates playing the same position, skating the same way, was really good. So I'd love to be able to chase that feeling again. But I had a really good time, really, really good time. And like I say, that quick skating winger, and I had some really good breakout plays and stuff like that. So, and even the new chap as well. Like he's a better skater than I am, but he's sort of learning the puck handling stuff. Like, we ended up meeting up on some good plays. So I can be really proud of what we did as a little trio there. Like I say, even more so for me, defensively it was good too. Yeah, really good. Really enjoyed that. Really good session. And then we move on to Friday's session. So that was on Wednesday, and then on Friday, just gone. I went out for a really short public skate. So there's a public skate session just before, like this afternoon, like team practice session that I jump on in Bristol, and it was fine. It was fine. Like it was good just to get the legs moving, but I fell over pretty quickly. Well, I was trying to work on a couple of techniques and really hurt my left arse cheek basically, which triggers a bit of pain in my left hip. So I could probably do with a couple of days rest, I suppose. But for some reason, it's still a little bit sore. I did go down like a sack of potatoes, but did that, sort of warmed up, and then we did some horseshoes, and then went into a scrim, a real classic staple of UK recreational hockey. And kind of again, the same sort of thing. I wanted to play up the middle, found myself having to cover for wings because we didn't have a rolling line, and obviously we weren't changing on the buzzer. We were changing quite naturally, and some people definitely stay out for longer than they should be, like in terms of like effort related stuff. Like people will coast but stay out for 2 minutes or more, and then some people are like skate really hard. Like for me, I skate until I can't really do much more and then get off. And some terrible. I mean, again, one of the other things for me is you make your change when you're breaking out. If you're tired, you definitely don't just coast back to the bench after you've not back checked and then make a change. Excuse me, sorry, I got a bit of cold. But that was done frequently on the Friday session. So lots of like getting out the bench and skating hard into my own zone, trying to break up an attacking play. But again, aside from sort of not really having that set position, I was trying to keep some of the principles the same. And there was a guy who was playing right D, I think, for most of it, occasionally left D. He and I had some great chemistry as well. So exactly the same kind of principle. When we break out from our own zone, because I was starting down low, I was able to be an opportunity, an option, I guess. And I'd start skating hard. I'd get some momentum. I'd pick up the puck, sort of middle of the ice, heading forward, plenty of space. And then a couple of times I had quite a good guy on my left wing again, which is good for me because that's obviously I'm right-handed. Or maybe you don't know that. I don't know if I've talked about that before. Anyway, I then make the distribution pass. They go and enter the zone. I'm then an option up the middle. And I can crash the net or I can hang back wherever the space is, and I can do either or. So I really like that. That seemed to work really well. And me and this right D just really like clicked. And he just said after the session, he's like, every time I looked up, you're always where I wanted you to be. And you were always there. I made a pass. More often than not, you picked it up, and away we went. And every time I then entered the zone and wanted to pass back to a D-man, like when he played lefty for a bit, he was just there. And there was a nice little play where I sort of, so he was playing on the left side at that time, passed it to me going up the center of the ice. I actually carried it into the zone, and then I was heading left and then cut to the center, and just did this little like drop pass behind the back. And he then skated onto it and took it up the left wing. Even though he was lefty, he sort of skated forward. I think we're mid-change. So he goes down left wing. I then head to the middle of the ice, and I'm there ready to receive the pass. And I think it got broken up or something. But that little play was sort of like really well connected. So again, like I can't emphasize this enough, and I think I say this every episode. My skating's not good. However, if I can keep doing stuff like that and finding ways to make and create opportunities despite having way below par skating capabilities, that's something to be pleased with, I think, in my mind, something to be proud of. So I'm finding ways, and that's really good. Really enjoyed that. What I did find difficult there was no defined role, and the lack of continuity of line mates was a bit of a struggle. But after a while, like I say, you just kind of find that rhythm and find a couple of people you click with. And I found a couple of people I really clicked with on the ice, and then it kind of worked out quite well. So yeah, pleased with that. Not quite as good as the Wednesday session. I think I'll be chasing that high for a while. With how good that session was. But for me, really the important thing is, really keep pushing myself to take on that difficult position. There are only 3 centers in rec hockey. I'm not as good as the 3 we have. Like I can say that with certainty. And I'm not as good as the 6 wingers we have, frankly. However, if we get opportunities at friendly games or challenge games, as we call them, and there's an opportunity to play up the middle, I want to grab that with both hands. I want to learn that skill so badly. Like I want to get some fake ice soon because I want to start practicing face-offs religiously. Like I want every weekend to be doing 50 or forehand and backhand face-offs more often if I can than that. And just get my partner to stand there. I haven't told her yet, but I'd love her to. Just stand there and throw pucks at the ground while I just work on quick draws over and over and over and over. Because I want to be I want to have that responsibility and I want to make it work. So I guess that's where I'm at the moment in terms of hockey practice. I really, like I say, thoroughly enjoying it still. And I find that, like I say, those sessions I'm enjoying more are the ones where I'm getting to play up the middle. So I'm going to keep pushing for that, even if that means that I might be slightly less likely to break into the team. I'm enjoying it. It's suiting me, and I think people can. Well, maybe a couple of people are starting to see that works for me. And I'm getting some help and advice from someone who's very capable of doing it, which is great. So, hockey over. On to fitness, and I actually want to attribute some of my I don't say newfound enjoyment, but enhanced enjoyment over the last 2 weeks to being a little bit fitter, because I've started over the last few weeks to do interval training on the bike again. Getting out there and being committed is a choice I make, and I'm trying to do it twice a week where I can. I can't always do that because of work and being away from home quite a lot. This weekend has been tricky, but I got up early on Saturday morning to make sure I had another opportunity at it. So I've done 3 25-minute interval sessions on the bike, where basically it's like a 5-minute warm-up and then 4 minutes of rest, 30 seconds of sprinting. And I do that for 5 sprints and then cool down. And it's a 25 minutes, half an hour, that kind of time frame. And by the 4th and 5th, I'm pretty gassed. My legs are pretty screwed up. But that's how I'm getting, hopefully, better recovery in there. And I do feel like at the end of sessions, I've got a little bit more to give. So I want to keep that going. Also went for a park run during the stag weekend on like 3 hours sleep after quite a few drinks. And it was really encouraging. I was able to get out and do a 5K. I'm planning on running on Monday as well. Tomorrow now, I suppose. So again, it's just finding that kind of rhythm with fitness. Run once a week or get on the bike twice a week and try and do a bit of each of those. Stretch a bit more. I'm still doing some good hip and lower body stretches now and again when I get the chance or when it's on my mind. So it's good. It's good. But I think, I've lost a couple of kilos in the last 2 weeks. I'm eating fairly well. I'm training hard, on and off the ice. I think that things are starting to come together. And could I do more? Probably. It's quite challenging with the 2.5-hour commute to work. And driving multiple hours to ice rinks and stuff like that. I'd love to have a bit more of my time back. I just don't have that luxury at the moment, so I'm making do with the time I've got. And there's more to life than just the things I'm doing in this space, obviously. But I'm just trying to get that balance where I can. And yes, it's a challenge sometimes, but at the end of the day, I feel like I'm making progress, and I want to keep pushing on that, which is good. That's really it for this week. I suspect it'll be a very similar sort of thing next week. I'm just catching up on, I think I've got maybe only one session next week. So perhaps next week we'll talk a little bit more about my little warm-up routines and stuff like that. And maybe hopefully have a bit more to chat about fitness as well. But until then, we'll leave it there. I hope you all have a wonderful day wherever you are and whatever you're doing. And until next time, bye for now.